Hey, it's a resting place. I just finished recording the Comfort for a Suicide Attempt audio, and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. Big trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about my personal experiences with suicide, and so if that's not something that your brain can handle, then that's okay. If that's not something you can deal with, that's okay. And if you are feeling suicidal, please get help. I tried to kill myself 4 times. And then I had to say that over and over in the hospital, in the mental ward, to different people, to a room of strangers. I had to describe in detail each time. I had to tell them about the time I was in my car. And I was too scared to run off the road. And I had to see their looks where they kind of shrugged, like, oh, that wasn't really an attempt. Like, me wanting to die didn't really matter. It wasn't that serious. Then they gave me a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, and I felt seen. At first, I felt like they were just trying to put a label on me and move me through the system. But I did more research and I realized they were right. It was me. And it sucks, and there's not a whole lot anyone can do about it. They have specialized therapy for it, but I cannot afford it with my insurance right now. The therapy I do has a special disclaimer that they don't treat people with borderline personality disorder, or they don't treat that specifically. I get treatment for my depression and anxiety, not that. That's just kind of a big dark monster that sits in the back of my mind just waiting. I take meds that help so much, but it's always there. When I moved, I lost the resources I had in my old state. I had no way to get my meds. I took as few of them as I could to stay sane, but even then I ran out eventually, and it all came back. Everything, every feeling, everything I thought I was free from. I learned that the monster will never fully leave. I just have to learn how to live with it. That's been scary. And really hard. And no one really told me what it was or how to deal with it. I've had to research it myself. And all the resources I see say get help, but they don't tell me who to get help from. So I just have to deal. And I have to go to work, and I have to make money, and I have to come home, and I have to do chores. And there are brief moments where I'm happy. If you don't know, sorry. If you don't know, there's a lot of things that go into borderline personality. I can't even speak. Borderline personality disorder. One of the main ones is mood swings. Severe. So I'm either very, very happy, I'm super productive, and I'm okay. And my depression makes it so I stay on the other side of the spectrum a lot. It's hard because I don't feel anything some of the time. And when I'm happy, it's usually no more than a couple hours. I'm grateful that I have my meds that keep me from being immobilized. Before it was like a rock on my chest, heavy all the time, like I was grieving forever. Now that the rock's lifted and I can get up and I can go to work and I can do the things I have to do. But sometimes even that doesn't work. I'm stuck in bed. I had to deal with it for years before I went to the hospital, before I got my diagnosis and my meds. I had to deal because my family was religious. And I don't know all the details because they didn't tell me. But they didn't get me help for a very long time. And I went to them and I asked them to take me to the hospital because I was afraid. And they said no. So I waited until I turned 18. I wanted to prove to myself that it was serious enough to take myself to the hospital because I knew I would be paying for it for the rest of my life. So I waited until it got to the point. I won't describe it. I won't describe it to you. I don't think I can. I was okay. But I knew it was real. And so the next day, I went to work. And then after work, I drove myself to the hospital. I moved out a month later. My family and I don't talk much. The night I came home from the hospital, well, I should say, in the hospital, I was still religious. I'd moved away from it, but I was still religious. I confided in my youth pastor that I was bisexual and non-binary. I went through the journey of debating if God hated me or not. I came to the conclusion that he didn't. That if there was a God, he would love me for who I was. I told her that. And then when I got home from the hospital, my parents sat me down and said they had a prayer meeting, and God told them I was bi and non-binary. And maybe that's true. But it was a major coincidence. And if the God of the universe would out me to my parents the night I got home from the hospital, and that was no God I wanted to follow. And that was the end. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm really emotional through this. I just needed to talk about it. I needed someone to hear me. I needed to get it all out. I made the audio. Maybe to comfort someone. Because I didn't have anyone. I didn't have anyone. I listened to a lot of ASMR back then when I didn't have anyone. I want to be that someone. Because I know what it's like. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.